I read 6 books in the month of February, which is pretty good for me, and I'm going to talk to you about them. Hi, I'm Persephone. This is my channel. Thanks for being here. We're going to talk about some books. So we're just going to jump right into it because, yeah, you don't want to hear a bunch of babbling. So let's start with the very first book that I attempted to read. The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I have a video about my experience with Stephen Graham Jones this month that I will link below, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I started with this because I was going to do a month of chunky big books in February. And then this was the one I started with, and I felt myself going into a deep reading slump, and I was super bored. And I ended up DNFing it like halfway through, or more than halfway through. So, so I didn't finish that one. Again, check out the video that I made previously if you want to know more about this book, The Buffalo Hunter. So let's get into the books that I finished. I knew if I was going to pull myself out of a reading slump, I needed to go to my girl, my love, my Alice Feeney. And I had not yet read I Know Who You Are. Well, now I've read it. And let me tell you, I freaking loved this book. Loved this book. So I don't want to give a lot away, but it's about this actress named Amy who she comes home and finds that her husband's wallet and keys and shoes and car and everything is there, but her husband is gone. He's disappeared. She doesn't know what's happened to him. And we follow her story. I will tell you, in true Alice Feeney form, this is dark and twisty. She does dark and twisty like nobody's business. And I'm trying to think of what I should tell you about this book and what I shouldn't. It does hop back and forth in timelines, but it's just present and past, present and past, present and past. It's not like a crazy time hoppy book. That's going to be really confusing. I will tell you that the twist at the end is very dark. It's very dark. And I love that shit, but some people found the twist to be very distasteful and do not like this book because of it. I will leave it up to you if you need to look up trigger warnings. I don't do that, and I won't give them to you because to me a trigger warning is a spoiler. But if you need them, look them up. That's all I'm going to say about this. Pulled me right out of that reading slump. I tore through this book in like 2 days. I love it. I think I only have one more Alice Feeney book to read, and I will have read her to zero. And I've loved everything I've read by her. So I Know Who You Are. And then I decided after I read that, I was like, okay, I'm out of my reading slump. Let's give Stephen Graham Jones another chance because I've heard so many good things about him. And I thought this one would be more my cup of tea. I was a teenage slasher, and it was. I enjoyed this book. It is set in 1989. And it's fascinating how I think Stephen Graham Jones, he might not be for me necessarily all the time, but I think he's a phenomenal writer. And to be able to go from something like writing this and then a couple years later writing The Buffalo Hunter, and the way he executes them, he's really good. He's really good. But I Was a Teenage Slasher is kind of an exploration of the slasher genre, and tells the story from the point of view of a slasher becoming a slasher. So it's a love letter to a best friend. If you like slasher movies, I think this would be an enjoyable book for you. So, yeah, I was a teenage slasher. If you like 80s nostalgia, I think this will be a fun book for you. So, yeah, I was a teenage slasher. And then I decided, okay, let's try one more thing by Stephen Graham Jones. Again, look at the description below. There's a link to the video I did about it. I read Mapping the Interior, a little novella by Stephen Graham Jones. I was 12 the first time I saw my dead father cross from the kitchen doorway to the hall that led back to the utility room. That's the first line of the book. On the back, it says, times have been tough for 12-year-old Junior, his mom, and especially his younger brother, Dino. When his dad makes a surprise visit late one night, Junior is desperate to make him part of their family again. The only problem is Dad drowned 8 years ago, and bringing back the dead always comes at a cost. It's a sad book, sad little book. It was fine. I didn't even remember that I read it, honestly, by the time I got to the end of this month and I was looking at what books I read. It didn't really stick with me, but it's very well written. Stephen Graham Jones, again, very good writer. See the video below. Okay. I don't know. One of my two favorite books this month. For my in-person book club, we read Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. Now, I really enjoy Grady Hendrix anyway. This was not your typical Grady Hendrix. So this is classified as a horror book, but there's not a lot of horror in it that you think of as horror. Like, there is some witchcraft stuff in there, but it's really secondary in the story. The horror in this story is really what was happening to girls in, between, I think it was like the mid 40s to the early 70s. This was set in 1970 when teenage girls who were unmarried they would get pregnant and their families would send them to these homes to hide them away and have their babies and then place them for adoption, not always of their own free will. I loved this book. Now, for me, I love stories like this. They're really fascinating to me because my own father was born to an unwed teenage girl who placed him for adoption. So, and I'm not spilling any tea here. This is all, very open. So I have been the one in my family to always just kind of wonder about what that was like for her and who she was and what that experience was like for her. So this book felt very personal to me. But even so, I will tell you, everybody in my book club adored this book. We all loved it. We just met last night to talk about it, and we all loved it. So it follows this girl, a 15-year-old, whose father takes her to this home, and it's so interesting. When they get to the home, the woman who runs it, she gives them all a fake name, and she gives them the names of flowers. And they're not supposed to use their real names. They're not supposed to know anything about each other. So you've got Fern, Rose, Zinnia, and Holly. These are our main girls that we're talking about. It says 15-year-old Fern arrives at the home in the sweltering summer of 1970, pregnant, frightened, and alone. Under the watchful eye of the stern Miss Wellwood, she meets a dozen other girls in the same predicament. There's Rose, a hippie who insists she's going to find a way to keep her baby and escape to a commune. And Zinnia, a budding musician who plans to marry her baby's father. And Holly, a wisp of a girl, barely 14, mute and pregnant by no one knows who. Everything the girls eat, every moment of their waking day, and everything they're allowed to talk about is strictly controlled by the adults who claim they know what's best for them. Then Fern meets a librarian who gives her an occult book about witchcraft, and power is in the hands of the girls for the first time in their lives. But power can destroy as easily as it creates, and it's never given freely. There's always a price to be paid, and it's usually paid in blood. This book was so good. It is a longer book, so you got to be prepared for that. It's like 480 pages, something like that. If you're looking for like a more traditional horror story, because that's how it's categorized, this might fall flat for you. But if the story of the experience of going through being pregnant as a young girl and being sent away with a bunch of strangers and having people dictate your life and do things to you and mandate what you're going to do and all of that kind of stuff, if that's really interesting to you, and if it's interesting to you what it used to be like for girls in that situation, then read this book. Don't read it thinking this is like a horror book that is going to be full of, no, it's not. It's not, but it's an amazing story. And read the acknowledgments, because Stephen Graham Jones talks about his personal experience and the people in his life who had these kinds of experiences. Did I say Stephen Graham Jones? I'm sorry. Grady Hendrix. Jeez, what's going on with me? Grady Hendrix, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. So after I read that one, now let me tell you first, I have been making these little shorts where I pick a prompt from my little TBR bowl that has prompts to help me decide what to read next. And then I choose like 3 books that fit the prompt, and I ask people to comment on what I should read next. And I legitimately will do this. If everybody votes for one particular book, that's the book I'll read. Well, the first time I did it, the only one who voted was my mom. So my mom picked for me Colleen Hoover, Woman Down. So this was the next one I read. But let me just say, before I go on about this book, that I love, if you've been liking, those videos that I make, those little shorts, please keep doing that. It's great for the algorithm. And I like to know that you watched and liked it. But seriously, comment with what book I should read next when you see one of these shorts. And I will look at what people vote for, and that's the one I'll read next. So I'm going to keep doing it and see if it kind of catches on, and we'll keep doing that. So anyway, my mom picked Woman Down by Colleen Hoover. Now, I am a big fan of Verity, just so you know, big fan of Layla. I haven't read a ton of Colleen Hoover, but I've always liked everything that I've read. I read It Ends With Us, It Starts With Us, November 9, Layla, Verity. I enjoyed this book, Woman Down. It's not her best work. I don't think it was that well written, but it was very entertaining. I probably would give it like 5.5, or not 5.5, 3.5 stars. Very entertaining the whole time. Like the whole first half of the book, I was kind of just reading it pretty fast. Like, oh, I know, I get what the twist is going to be. It's not that big of a deal, whatever. Let's just kind of see. And then I get halfway through and boom, I get hit with a twist that I was like, I did not see that coming. Okay. And so it gets real interesting. Yeah, fun, easy, fast read. Not winning any literature awards, but fun book. It's about a writer. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, she's writing her own fan fiction. So personal experience. I mean, I didn't really think so. I didn't think anything about this book really mirrored Colleen Hoover's life or experience other than the fact that it's about a writer. I think as long as it takes to write a book and publish a book and do all of that, the controversy surrounding her movie adaptation, I think, probably came after she started writing this book. So I personally didn't think that it was like, oh, she's like really taking from her life. And also, so this book starts with this author. She's in kind of a rut with her writing. She's taking kind of a downward spiral because there was controversy about her first movie adaptation of one of her books. It was nothing like the controversy in real life. It was a completely different kind of thing. But anyway, so I'm just gonna read you what's on the back of the book. So her words used to set the page on fire, but a viral backlash over her latest film adaptation forced Petra Rose to take a hiatus, resulting in missed deadlines and an overdue mortgage. Branded a fraud and a fame-hungry opportunist, she learned the hard way what happens when the internet turns on you, and she's been uninspired to write ever since. Now, with her next suspense novel outlined and savings nearly gone, she retreats to a secluded lakeside cabin hoping to find inspiration. It's Petra's last-ditch attempt to save her career and herself. Then he shows up. Detective Nathaniel Saint arrives with disturbing news, his presence igniting a creativity in her she thought long since burned out. Petra's words return in a rush, and her fictional cop character begins to mirror the very real cop who's becoming her muse. Their research sessions blur the lines between fantasy and reality. Blah, blah. I'm not going to read it anymore. So, it's fun. It's a fun book. Quick read. Have at it. There was actually one line in the book that made me laugh out loud. Like, I was hysterical laughing. And my husband came in the room. He's like, are you laughing at the book you're reading? And I was like, yeah. So, it's cute. It's fun. Have at it. So anyway, final book of the month, of February, I read Ashley Elston's Anatomy of an Alibi. I loved her first book, her first adult book, First Lie Wins. I enjoyed Anatomy of an Alibi. I didn't get through it as quickly as some other books, but I enjoyed it. It was a little bit too like time hoppy and POV hoppy for my comfort. Again, good book, enjoyed it, finished it, all that. Good story. But like, the book will go from what's happening during the alibi. Another chapter will be what happened before the alibi, what happened after the alibi, what happened 10 years ago. And not just time hopping, but you have Aubrey's perspective, Camille's perspective, Hank's perspective, like all these different POVs. So it can be a little bit hard to follow. So if you don't like that kind of thing, you won't like this book. But if you don't mind that, and I would say probably it might be harder to follow in audio form. I don't know, because I have the physical book that I read, which is easy to flip back and forth and see where, kind of what's going on, and have a visual of it. But anyway, this book is, okay. It's about two women who, one woman pretends to be the other woman, and oh God, it's so convoluted. I'm sorry. Let me just read you what it says on the inside cover. So Camille Bayliss appears to have the picture perfect life. She's married to hotshot lawyer Ben and is the daughter of a wealthy Louisiana family. Only nothing is as it seems. Camille believes Ben has been hiding dirty secrets for years, but she can't find proof because he tracks her every move. Aubrey Price has been haunted by the terrible night that changed her life a decade ago, and she's convinced Benjamin Bayliss knows something about it. Blah, blah, blah. Aubrey and Camille hatch a plan. It sounds simple. For 12 hours, Aubrey will take Camille's place. Camille will spy on Ben, and the two women will get the answers they desperately seek. Except the next morning, Ben is found murdered. Both women need an airtight alibi, but only one of them has it. And there you go. So it was a good book. It was really good. I enjoyed it. It was interesting. Not like super crazy, twisty, wild or anything, but enjoyable. And I didn't see it coming at the end, sort of the who and why of it all. So yeah, it was a good read. I enjoyed it. I think I think this one will be hit or miss. Again, if you like a time hoppy, POV hoppy kind of book, if that kind of gets your juices flowing and you love it, you'll like this book. If you find that really confusing and you hate trying to follow that stuff, then this book isn't going to be for you. So, yeah, I mean, just because I enjoy a book, I don't expect everyone's going to enjoy it. And just because I don't enjoy a book, I don't expect that other people won't. So there you have it. The only book I know I'm reading for March is The Collected Regrets of Clover, because that's what my book club picked for March. And yeah, I guess that's really it. So I may start doing like weekly wrap-up videos, or maybe like mid-month wrap-ups, because honestly, when I read a book, I forget a lot pretty quickly. So an end of the month wrap up is a little tricky for me. But anyway, I don't know. We'll see what I end up doing. This is all brand new. The reboot of my channel is brand new. I'm just having fun. I'm trying to be consistent, and put out some things that are interesting, I hope, but really I want to have fun. So, I hope this was an enjoyable video for you. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. And that's all I've got. So it's been a great February. I hope March is just as good. And I hope you're having a great reading month. And I know a lot of you, I will see your wrap-ups real soon. And if you don't have a YouTube channel, please, I love to talk about books and engage with people. So let me know if you've read any of these books that I read this month and what you thought of them. If you had a different opinion than I did, I would love to hear it. So anyway, that's it for now. Ciao, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.